It is a journey through the Bible with Mukhwana Isaac, and I welcome you in a very special way to episode 22, where we go through the word of the Lord. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. In our previous program, we looked at the 12 tribes of Israel, how these 12 tribes of Israel came from the 12 sons of Jacob, whose name had been changed by God, just like Abraham's name to Israel, which means you have prevailed, you have won. And today we look at Joseph. The Hebrews go to Egypt. And so, to make a great nation, his nation out of Abraham's descendants, God first allowed Jacob and his sons to go from Canaan to Egypt, where their descendants would live for many years, just as God had foretold to Abraham. We read this in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. Afterwards, when the Israelites left Egypt, they had to remember their stay in Egypt by a sort of act of faith. A wavering Aramean was my father, that is Jacob, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there, few in number. And there he came to become a nation, great, mighty, and populous. We read this in Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 5. And throughout the many years of their stay in Egypt, the families of the 12 sons of Israel increased greatly, so that they became a large and distinct group. When they were ready, God took them from Egypt and made them his people, the beginning of his great nation promised to Abraham, and which would cause a blessing to be given to the whole world, namely the Savior himself. And so, God used unkindness of the sons of Israel toward Joseph, their brother, as the way to get them all into Egypt. The Savior did not come from Joseph's family. Joseph was simply the instrument which God used to build up his nation in Egypt. How did these people reach Egypt? These people, the Israelites, ended up in Egypt through a series of events centered on the history of Joseph, one of the 12 sons of Jacob, also called Israel. Joseph was sold into slavery by his jealous brothers and taken to Egypt, where through God's providence, he rose to a position of great authority as Pharaoh's chief advisor. A severe famine eventually struck the region, affecting Canaan, where Jacob and his family lived. Hearing that Egypt had food, Jacob sent his sons there to buy grain. In time, Joseph revealed his identity to them and invited the entire family to settle in Egypt under his protection with the Pharaoh's blessing. And you realize that Joseph was loved by his parents. He was loved, but this angered his brothers. So they looked at him as a man who was taking his parents away from them. So when they went to carry out an activity, they said, now this man is the one who has been doing this. Let's just kill him. And as they were about to kill him, another one said, one of the sons said, no, if we kill him, his blood will be on us. What shall we do? Remember when we talked about when we handled Cain and Abel? The blood of Abel was on Cain. So they said, no, one said, no, let's just throw him into this ditch. They did that. But again, they saw traders. They said, now let us sell this man. They sold him to a certain family, and he ended up in Egypt, and he's now the one who is bringing them. You see, you sell someone, you betray someone, you think that is the end. And yet that is the transformative, the transforming stage. Actually, once in Egypt, Jacob's descendants, the Israelites, grew in number and strength. However, after Joseph and his generation died, a few actually here we see that a new man, a new Pharaoh came to power, who did not know Joseph. A few of his friends, actually he didn't even know them. Fearing the growing population of Israelites, the Egyptians began to oppress them, eventually enslaving them. This marked the beginning of their long period of suffering in Egypt, which would later lead their dramatic deliverance under Moses during the Exodus. And so, basically, in brief, I've just taken you through how these people ended up being there. But of course, we shall also look at this man, Joseph, a dreamer, tomorrow. Thank you. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.